Rich family hires black girl to bear their heir. But what she did next shocked everyone. You understand why you are here? The man asked at last, his voice heavy, his words deliberate. The woman swallowed hard. Yes, sir. To bear your child. You will be well taken care of, money, shelter, food. When it is done, you will have enough to start a brand new life. The wife finally spoke, her tone soft but edged with steel. All you have to do is follow the rules. No questions. No wandering. And no attachments. Do you understand? I understand. The mansion smelled faintly of polished mahogany and lilies imported from somewhere the immigrant woman could not name. The chandelier above her head glimmered like frozen stars, its light falling in cold splinters across the marble floor. She sat nervously on the edge of a velvet chair, her hands pressed tightly together in her lap. The man across from her, the patriarch, leaned back in his armchair with a glass of brandy. His wife, seated beside him, studied the young woman with the cool calculation of someone selecting a rare animal at an auction. You understand why you are here? The man asked at last, his voice heavy, his words deliberate. The woman swallowed hard. Yes, sir. To bear your child. The wife's eyes flickered with approval, though her lips remained sealed. The silence after those words seemed endless, broken only by the muffled crackle of firewood in the distant hearth. You will be well taken care of, the man continued. Money, shelter, food. When it is done, you will have enough to start a brand new life. Her chest tightened. A new life. The phrase rolled through her mind like a promise wrapped in thorns. But in the depths of her heart, there was something else stirring, fear, and a strange resistance she could not name. The wife finally spoke, her tone soft but edged with steel. All you have to do is follow the rules. No questions. No wandering. And no attachments. Do you understand? Her voice quivered when she answered, I understand. The contract was signed that evening. A single stroke of ink that bound her future tighter than chains ever could. Nights in the mansion were cold despite the wealth that surrounded her. She would lie awake listening to the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall, the sound echoing like footsteps chasing her in the dark. Her hand would sometimes drift to her stomach, as though even before life stirred there, she was already trying to protect it. And then one morning, weeks later, staring at the faint pink lines on the test strip in her trembling hands, she whispered to herself, it's real, it's inside me now. But instead of relief, a flood of panic rushed over her. A storm of thoughts. What if they take it away? What if they change their minds? What if? From that moment, an idea began to take root. A dangerous one. She would not just carry the child. She would keep it. She would run. The days that followed blurred into a strange rhythm. Servants brought her meals at fixed hours, the doctor came weekly with cold instruments and colder eyes, and the lady of the house hovered, always watching. It was during one of those doctor's visits that the first crack appeared. Everything looks healthy, the doctor said, adjusting his glasses. The embryo is stable. Congratulations. The wife smiled thinly, but the woman sitting on the velvet chair did not. She pressed her palm against her belly, whispering so faintly the words almost disappeared into the silence. Congratulations, little one. The wife's gaze snapped toward her. You are not to speak to it, she said sharply. The woman flinched. I didn't mean. Remember the rules, the wife interrupted. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were a storm. That night, the immigrant lay awake again, tracing the shadows of the ceiling with her eyes. Her chest rose and fell in uneven breaths. No attachments, they said. But how can I not? It's mine. It grows because of me. She felt tears sliding down her face before she even realized she was crying. Weeks turned into months. Her belly rounded beneath the loose dresses they forced her to wear. And with each passing day, she became more of a prisoner inside the house. No trips to the market anymore, the butler informed her one morning. No letters. No phone calls, the wife reminded coldly. Even the walks in the garden had grown shorter, always with someone's eyes fixed on her. Then came the night she overheard them. She had gone downstairs to drink water, her bare feet silent against the marble. Voices drifted from the study, muffled but sharp with tension. She's becoming too attached, the wife hissed. Of course she had the right to feel that way, the child was her own flesh and blood. The wife could never bear children, so it was the immigrant's eggs that had been used. It wasn't just a contract growing inside her, it was her baby. And now, with every flutter and every heartbeat, she was becoming dangerously attached, forced to confront the cruel reality that she might one day be asked to surrender her own child. She'll do what she's paid to do, the man answered, pouring another drink. And if she doesn't? A pause. The faint clink of glass on wood. Then we'll take what's ours. The woman froze in the shadows, her breath caught in her throat. Her hands instinctively wrapped around her stomach, shielding it as if their words were knives. When she returned to her room, her legs shaking, she whispered into the darkness, pressing her lips to her belly. They won't take you. I promise. I won't let them. From that night, the idea of escape became more than a thought, it became a plan. She began to watch the household carefully, memorizing routines. When the butler left his post to answer the phone. When the wife's footsteps faded upstairs. When the front gate opened and closed. Every detail became a lifeline. But the mansion was a cage of luxury and locked doors. And each day her body grew heavier, slower, more fragile. Fear gnawed at her. Can I even run like this? Where would I go? Who would help me? Yet every time doubt whispered, the thought of the wife's voice, "We'll take what's ours," burned through her hesitation. And one stormy night, standing by the window with the rain lashing against the glass, she whispered again to the child inside her. "We're leaving. Soon. No matter what it takes." The rain had not stopped all evening. It pounded against the windows, thunder rolling like distant drums of war. The mansion, usually alive with voices and footsteps, had sunk into a heavy silence. It was the perfect night. She stood before the mirror, staring at herself. Her face was pale, framed by dark curls damp with nervous sweat. Her belly curved outward beneath her thin nightdress, undeniable, vulnerable. She laid both hands on it and whispered, "Be still, little one. Be brave for me." She had stolen a small bundle of food earlier, biscuits wrapped in a napkin, an apple tucked beneath her pillow. In the pocket of her coat, the thin wad of cash she had managed to hide from the allowance the wife gave her for incidentals. Not much, but enough to get her out. Her plan was simple: slip out through the servants' entrance, take the narrow road past the gate, and walk until morning. Someone in town would help. Someone had to. She eased the door open, heart hammering against her ribs. The hallway stretched long and shadowed, the grandfather clock ticking like a warning. Too loud, it's too loud, she thought, holding her breath with every creak of the floor. Down the stairs. Past the study. Toward the back hall. The storm outside roared so loudly it almost gave her courage. She reached the servant's door and fumbled with the latch. Her fingers shook. The old metal groaned in protest as she pulled it open. A rush of wet air slapped her face. Freedom. Just one more step. Going somewhere? The voice cut through her like a blade. She froze. Slowly, she turned. The wife stood in the dim light of the hallway, her silk robe flowing, her face pale as bone. Her eyes locked on the coat, the bundle in her hand, the swollen belly. "You think you can run?" the wife whispered, but her words were sharper than any shout. She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the floor. "Do you have any idea what you're risking?" The woman's lips trembled. "Please. I can't stay. I can't." "That child," the wife interrupted, her finger stabbing toward her stomach, "belongs to us." The words hit her like thunder. For a moment, the world spun. Her hands wrapped around her belly, protective, desperate. "No," she said, her voice cracking, but firm. "It's mine." The wife's face twisted, torn between fury and fear. "Do you know what my husband will do if he finds out you tried to run? Do you think he will let you disappear with his heir?" Lightning flashed across the windows, bathing them both in a harsh, white glow. For a heartbeat, the immigrant considered surrender, closing the door, returning upstairs, pretending nothing had happened. But then she felt the faintest flutter inside her. A kick. Her child's first rebellion. She inhaled sharply, strength rising in her chest like fire. She gripped the doorknob tighter. "I'm leaving," she whispered. "With or without your permission." The wife's eyes widened. And then, footsteps echoed down the hall. Heavy, deliberate. The husband. The footsteps grew louder, heavier, echoing down the marble hallway like a drumbeat of doom. The wife's face flickered with something. Fear? Anger? Perhaps both. "Go back upstairs," the wife hissed urgently, her voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "If he sees you." But it was too late. The man's shadow appeared first, stretching long and dark across the hall. Then he emerged, broad shoulders, brandy glass still in hand, his face flushed with drink and suspicion. "What's this?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing on the open door, the coat, the bundle in her hands. "Running away?" The immigrant woman's throat locked. Her body screamed for her to flee, but her feet were frozen to the floor. The wife stepped forward quickly, trying to intercept. She got confused. "The storm, the night." "Don't lie to me," the man barked, his voice thundering louder than the storm outside. His eyes bored into the woman. "You think you can steal from me? My heir? My child?" she cried out suddenly, her voice breaking, echoing against the high ceilings. The man's face twisted with rage, his glass shattering on the floor as he hurled it aside. "That child is mine. Bought and paid for." The woman staggered back, clutching her belly as if to shield the tiny life within. Tears blurred her vision. Run, something inside her screamed. Now. Lightning split the sky outside, a violent flash that lit the hallway in white. She turned and hurled herself through the door into the storm. Stop her, the man roared, his footsteps pounding after her. The rain was a wall, drenching her instantly, soaking her dress, blinding her eyes. The wind ripped at her hair as she stumbled across the gravel drive. Each step was agony, her body heavy, her breath sharp, but she did not stop. Behind her, the front doors slammed open. Shouts erupted. A dog barked, fierce and wild. Don't let her get past the gates, the man's voice bellowed into the night. Her heart thundered louder than the storm as she pushed forward, the cold mud sucking at her shoes. Her bundle slipped from her hand, the biscuits and apple scattering into the darkness, but she didn't turn back. Please, 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 she sobbed into the rain, her arms cradling her belly as she ran. And then, through the sheets of rain, she saw them. The iron gates. Looming tall, locked, chained. Her chest collapsed with despair. No, no. Behind her, the shouts grew closer, the crunch of boots on gravel, the gleam of flashlights cutting through the storm. She pressed her body against the gate, clutching the cold iron bars, her tears indistinguishable from the rain. The child shifted inside her, as though restless, sensing her terror. And in that moment, with nowhere left to run, she whispered fiercely, almost a vow. They won't take you. I'll die before I let them. The storm howled around her, the iron gates rising like a prison wall. She pulled at the chains until her fingers bled, the links biting into her palms. They didn't budge. Behind her, voices drew closer. Flashlights sliced through the rain like knives of light. There, someone shouted. Her breath broke into sobs. She pressed her body against the gate as if she could melt through it, one hand splayed across the cold iron, the other clutching her swollen belly. Please, she whispered into the night, to no one, to anyone, to God. The husband was the first to reach her. He strode forward like a storm within the storm, his coat flapping, his face carved in fury. Behind him, the wife appeared, her silk robe clinging to her skin, her expression unreadable in the flickering lightning. You're making this harder than it needs to be, the man shouted over the thunder. He raised his hand, pointing toward her belly. That child doesn't belong to you. You were paid. You signed. I signed nothing but my own death, she cried back, her voice raw, tearing through the night. Her fingers clawed tighter around the bars. This is mine. My blood, my breath. You can't have it. The man's face twisted into something monstrous. Ungrateful wretch. He lunged, grabbing her arm, his grip iron. She screamed, struggling, pulling back until her shoulder burned with pain. The wife stepped forward, her voice low, cutting. Stop it. You'll hurt the child. The man snapped his head toward her, eyes blazing. It's my child. I'll do what I damn well please. But the wife's gaze never left the immigrant woman. Lightning lit her face, there was something in her eyes, something that almost looked like pity. Or was it envy? You'll never get out, the wife said quietly, her words nearly lost to the storm. Even if you run, you'll always be hunted. The woman's chest heaved, rain and tears streaming down her face. Then let them hunt me, she whispered fiercely. But I will not hand you my child. The man yanked her harder, dragging her away from the gate. Pain shot through her side, white hot, and she cried out, clutching her stomach. And then, suddenly, the wife's voice cut through the chaos. Enough. The husband froze, glaring at her. The wife stepped closer, rain dripping from her hair, her eyes burning with something dark. She looked at the immigrant woman, trapped, trembling, desperate, and then at the chains on the gate. Her lips parted, her voice low, almost trembling. Run. The immigrant blinked, stunned. What? Run, the wife repeated, louder now, her tone shaking with something that sounded like rage, or maybe defiance. She shoved the man back a step. Go. For a split second, time itself seemed to hang suspended in the storm. And then, the woman ran. The immigrant woman's feet pounded the soaked earth, splashing mud, her lungs burning as she tore into the storm. The gates had opened, she didn't even know how. One moment, the chains had clanged against the iron, the next, they were loose, falling away, as if fate itself had cut her free. She didn't look back. She didn't dare. Her legs screamed, her dress clung heavy against her body, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach as though shielding the life inside could make her faster, stronger. Behind her, the man's voice thundered into the night, rage spilling into the rain. Find her. Don't let her vanish. But his shouts grew fainter, swallowed by the storm. The road was long and empty, stretching like a black ribbon beneath the crackling sky. She stumbled, fell to her knees, pain surging through her side. For a moment, she thought she could not rise. And then, another kick. A flutter. The child. Her lips trembled, and she laughed through her tears. You're still with me, she whispered hoarsely. We'll make it. I swear it. She forced herself up, one step, then another. Hours passed. Maybe days. Time blurred into a haze of rain and exhaustion. But at last, as dawn crept over the horizon, the storm broke. The first light spilled across her face, warm, fragile, a promise. In the distance, she saw it, a small town, roofs clustered together, smoke curling from chimneys. Life. Her knees buckled, but this time, it wasn't from despair. It was relief. She pressed her hand to her belly, whispering through cracked lips, "We're free, my love. They'll never take you from me." And for the first time since stepping into that mansion, she believed it. She walked forward, toward the light, toward the unknown, her new life just beginning.